Good afternoon, everyone. Those in the gallery in the Braniff room, and for those watching at home. I will call to order the council meeting of Monday, March 16th, 2020.
Is now in the conference.
Today we acknowledge that this event is taking place on the traditional territory of the Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island, including the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe peoples, and on lands connected with the Lake Simcoe Nottawasaga Treaty of 1818. This is the home of a diverse range of Indigenous peoples whom we recognize as contemporary stewards of the land and vital contributors of our society. I will now look for the motion to adopt the agenda. And I have the motion in front of me tonight, folks. We're not passing paper around in hopes of deferring or delaying the spread of the virus. And so the motion moved by Deputy Mayor Hall and seconded by Councillor MacLeod. Be it resolved that the content of the council agenda for March 16, 2020 be adopted as presented. All in favor? That is carried unanimously. We're going to go right into 3.1, which is bylaws, and we are doing this because we are looking at changing our procedural bylaws so that in emergency situations we can have council members participate in open session by electronic means. And so with that said, I guess we need to get it on the table first. So it's moved by Deputy Mayor Hall and seconded by Councillor MacLeod. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-19 being a bylaw to amend procedural bylaw 2019-75 to include provisions for electronic participation for council and standing committee be enacted and passed this 16th day of March 2020. And I'll pass it over to Clerk Almus for some background, please.
It might be easier for me to move over here slightly. So further to this new item being added to the agenda today as an addendum, following our conversation with council at our emergency meeting held last Friday, one of the items that we referred to was the ability for members of council to participate electronically that wasn't previously provided for in our procedural bylaw. So this bylaw allows for the participation electronically by not more than 4 members of council, because you are required to have a quorum physically present for meetings. So this provides the opportunity for participants to join in the conversation, participate in the meeting, be part of the voting process. However, an electronic participant is not able to participate in the in-camera conversation. And that is basically set up for emergency or urgent, unforeseen events.
Thank you, Sarah. Council, any questions or comments before I call the vote? Seeing none, then I will call the vote. All in favor? That is passed unanimously. So then for the public, we have 2 council members, Councillor Hamlin and Councillor Comey, who are participating electronically. We have them on the line, and so I will just ask Councillor Comey and Councillor Hamlin each to confirm that you're there and you can hear us, please.
This is Councillor Hamlin. Oh.
You sequenced that nicely. Go ahead.
This is Councillor Comey on the line.
Good, thank you, Councillor Comey.
And this is Councillor Hamlin.
Good, thank you. So now that we have passed the procedural bylaw, when we are going through the other items on the open agenda, you are able to ask questions and to participate in the vote. We just need to do it, obviously, through audio. So to state yea or nay for the vote, and if you have something to say, just to call out so you get my attention. Declarations of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Are there any declarations tonight? Seeing none, if you find yourself in that position as we progress through the agenda, please let me know. Community announcements, and before I go around the table, the Deputy Mayor and other council members, I do have a statement that I'd like to read for the residents of Collingwood. We are living in exceptional times. The COVID-19 pandemic poses a very real threat to the health and well-being of our community and our residents. Exceptional times call for exceptional measures, and we have seen both the Premier of Ontario and the Prime Minister of Canada announce exceptional measures today and over the last week. The Deputy Mayor, members of this Council, and myself as your Mayor want to assure the residents of Collingwood that we take this threat very seriously and that your health and safety are our primary focus and concern today and in the coming weeks. As a result, Council is responding with exceptional measures of our own. We have closed our municipal facilities, including the Eddie Bush Memorial Arena and the Central Park Arena and the Centennial Pool. Effective earlier today, we closed Town Hall and other municipal offices to the public and have asked all non-essential staff to work from home. After the completion of this council meeting tonight, we will be suspending all town council, committee, and board meetings indefinitely. I want our residents to know that the town will continue to provide essential services, including fire, drinking water and wastewater, snow clearing, enforcement of priority bylaws, and essential customer services. Updates about these town services will be available on the town website and the town Twitter and Facebook channels, and we will continue to provide timely and regular updates for our residents. We are undertaking all of these exceptional measures to flatten the curve of the virus, to slow the infection rate, and use every available means to save lives. I know we can all agree that Collingwood is an exceptional community. We are ranked the 22nd best place to live in Canada by Maclean's magazine, based on a multitude of metrics. I believe the most important metric to judge any community is the size and strength of its community spirit. We are a strong, united, and caring community, and while we have weathered hardship in many forms, from world wars to depression and recessions to massive industry closures, and yet in every case and without fail, our community has prevailed and emerged stronger and more resilient than before. And I know that that will be our future when the COVID-19 pandemic has passed. As champions of the UN Sustainable Development Goal 11, which promotes safe, inclusive, and resilient communities, I urge our residents to practice each of these qualities. Safety, by taking all precautions against the spread of the virus, by following the guidelines for hand washing and hygiene and responsible social contact. Inclusiveness, by looking out for your neighbors, particularly the vulnerable, including the elderly, those with chronic health issues, and those with compromised immune systems. This is not a time for panic. It is a time for calm, reasoned decisions about how we minimize our risk of infection and the spread of the COVID-19 virus. I want to assure all residents that there is no shortage of food and other essentials. Please shop responsibly. There is no need to stockpile beyond a 2-week supply. Finally, resilience. Through cooperation, compassion, and working together, our community will survive this crisis and we will emerge stronger and more resilient as we have in the past. Let us show the world how a safe, inclusive, and resilient community acts in a time of crisis, and how we work together to overcome adversity and care for our neighbors and those at risk. I know that together we can do this. And with that, I will go around the table for community announcements. Deputy Mayor.
I have nothing to add to that, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McLeod.
I have 3 words to add to that, Your Worship, and they are wash your hands.
Thank you. Councillor Doherty.
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Madigan.
I would be remiss if I didn't take this time noticing that on our agenda this evening we are not going to have older deferred business or other business. So on behalf of myself, I want to thank Fareed for his 2.5 years as a first term councillor last term, and we had to hire a CAO. I was very nervous and very scared, and thank you for being there with your leadership, your kindness, and your friendship. I appreciate the 2.5 years that you spent together with last council on this one, and you've left us in a way, way better place than we were. So thank you very much.
Councillor Jeff.
Nothing additional, thank you.
Councillor Byrne.
Nothing for me.
All right, then we will get into staff reports. Item 6.1, E2020-8, Pilkington Battery Storage Facility. And I will put the motion on the table. It's moved by Councillor Doherty and seconded by Councillor Hamlin. Be it resolved that staff report P2020-8 recommending council approve the processing of the proposed Pilkington Battery Storage Facility as a minor adjustment to a site plan control agreement, and that council approve the site plan development drawings for the proposed Pilkington Battery Storage Facility at 10,001 Highway 26, subject to the following conditions. Receipt of the following materials to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning and Building Services. 1, drawings showing fencing and screening landscape. 2, securities to address any needed fencing and landscaping. Second bullet, receipt of clearance for the development proposal from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. And final bullet, receipt of any revised drawings required to resolve outstanding issues, including the MVCA clearance, to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning and Building Services. This item is time sensitive. It was on the Development Operations Standing Committee agenda at the last meeting, and at that time I think it received unanimous approval. So unless there are any questions or comments, I will call the vote. Seeing none, then I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? And that is passed unanimously.
Can you just confirm with our...
Oh, sorry. Councillors Hamlin and Comey, how do you vote on this issue?
Yay.
Thank you. 6.2, C 2020-5, sale of partial lane adjacent to 27 Simcoe Street. This also was reviewed at the last, this item was dealt previously in camera, and there was a unanimous recommendation, and I'll just put the bylaw on the floor, and then I'll ask the clerk just to confirm the one matter that was being looked into, which I think was the extent of the legal fees. So it's moved by Councillor Doherty and seconded by Councillor Hamlin. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-16, being a bylaw to close a portion of the public land located adjacent to 27 Simcoe Street and authorize the sale of land through an agreement of purchase and sale to 2073342 Ontario Inc., be enacted and passed this 16th day of March 2020. I'll just ask the clerk to just clarify.
Certainly, through your worship, to members of council and the public. This piece of property, the individual had contacted our office, interested in acquiring it to sell any sort of public property. There is a public process. Council reviewed that through a staff report in 2019, declared it surplus to the needs of the municipality. It was offered for sale publicly, and we only received one offer on the property. During the negotiation phase, council had an opportunity to review and wanted to assure that any additional fees associated with the transaction, including legal and survey costs, were completely borne by the purchaser. And I can confirm that that amount will surpass the amount of the legal costs. I should say the amount that they have secured or provided securities for will not be more, I'm getting tongue twisted here. The amount that they provided will sufficiently provide for the costs associated with the transaction.
Okay, good, thank you. And I notice I maybe have jumped ahead. Do I need to pass have council receive the staff
Do
report?
the staff report
Okay.
first, please.
So I am going to back that up, and I will look for a mover and seconder on this because there's no written motion. But the motion is that council receives staff report 2020 C2020-5 and enact and pass bylaw 2020-16, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a purchase and sale agreement to sell the surplus portion of a lane adjacent to 27 Simcoe Street and further stop up and close the necessary portion of lane from public access. Been moved by Deputy Mayor and seconded by Councillor Jeffrey. All in favor? That is passed unanimously. And now we will move on to the bylaw, which I had read out previously and is moved by Councillor Doherty and seconded by Councillor Hamlin. Any questions or comments?
So would you please
Sorry.
declare it electronically?
Oh, right. Councillors Hamlin and Comey, on the receiving of the staff report, how do you vote?
Yay.
Thank you. So we now, seeing no comments on the bylaw, I will call the vote on the bylaw to close up the portion of the public land and authorize the sale through the agreement of purchase and sale. All in favor? Councillors Comey and Hamlin, how do you vote?
Yay. Yay.
That is unanimous. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the in-camera motion, and I have that here. It's moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor Comey. Whereas the clerk hereby concurs the reasons for the in-camera session have been duly reviewed and considered, and the matters are authorized under the exception provisions to conduct a closed session in accordance with the Municipal Act prior to proceeding into closed session. Therefore, be it resolved that this council proceeds in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including town or local board employees. Item for discussions, A, arrangements for acting CAO, and B, arrangements for continued support from Freedom Inn. Any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? Councillors Hamlin and Comey, how do you vote?
Yes. Yes.
That is carried unanimously. Thank you for that. So we will now go in camera. And there may be a rise in report.